So then like 20 seconds go by of us cheering and I'm like,
Get your composure back.
I press unmute. I was like, oh, you know what? I think we should pray about this. She goes, yeah, pray about it. I go, all right, amen.
It didn't have to be a long prayer.
The prayer was shorter and Jesus said yes.
Confirmation. Amen. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in to the Village Podcast. I'm super excited to introduce the guest that we have today. You know, a lot of you guys see him on top of the stage, rocking it. I mean, like a full workout, you know, doing the Ray Lewis dance. But truly charismatic, truly giving everything he got. And someone that I like to call, you know, a good friend and a mentor to me because of my journey, you know, the way I started the Village and the backstory that I like to share in a little bit. But enough with that. I'd like to introduce Elijah Langofuina, Mr. Johnny Sweet, everybody.
What's up, yes, sir.
Hey, man, thank you for making the time to join us today. You know,
thanks for having me. It's an honor to be on here.
No, I appreciate that. You know, you are such a busy guy. You know, I don't think a lot of people know like the lifestyle or like the schedule, you know, that you go through on the daily. If you want to just give a quick rundown of like maybe like a day, like, even like today, what you got going on, you know?
Today is like not as busy of a day, I guess you would say, as to like a normal like Saturday, Sunday, but woke up, got ready, spent time with Jesus, served my wife,
Amen.
Went to the gym 6 a.m., went home, showered. My wife made me my little smoothie with some peanut butter. Thank you, babe. And then came over here. And then after this, I got studio in Kahala from 1:30 to 4:30. And then I'm going to sit in that traffic coming home just to rest for about an hour and a half. And then I got dance practice from 8:30 to 10 tonight near Ala Moana.
And like you said, man, that's not as, you know, much of a busy day, right?
Yeah.
So that's crazy, man. But, you know, there's so much that we want to get into today, just touching back, man, just kind of your life story, you know, your upbringing, where you at now, where you came from, the growth that you've, occurred over time. But, you know, the backstory for a lot of people that don't know is that when I first started the Village, you know, we talked about this a little bit before, but when I first started the brand, The Village, it really came from my situation, you know, my divorce, right? Mm-hmm. And I still remember walking to Inspire Church and, you know, hearing, you know, Pastor Mike preach. And that was my first time in that type of setting, that type of church. But I remember seeing you in church and you was like, bro, come check us out. You know, we got a men's group. It's not even a men's group. We just play basketball and we fellowship and talk about Jesus after. Yeah. And, you know, for me, I don't think you know how much of an impact that had on me back then, you know. So I always wanted to tell you, I don't think I ever told you how much I appreciated that.
Oh, of course. It was, that is what happened to me. And it was like, at the time, honestly, I was still like such a young Christian, like being fed milk still, you know. But I just remember that even though it's been a short period of me understanding who Jesus was and being surrounded by all these like-minded other parts of iron, I knew that like anytime I seen anybody that I feel could use a community, I'm just gonna invite them right away. Even though like, bro, I don't know if you know, it's like, but around the time that I invited you, I was still partying, bro. Like I was still playing Hokey Pokey Church, bro. Like come church
Hokey
Sunday,
Pokey Church, man. Tell them, man.
But then Thursday, I stay at Rock Bottom with my $1 sliced pizzas and my $2 shots of Fireball, bro. But even then, I was still like, on Sunday, I'm like, oh, I see Brado over there. Maybe they can come chill with us on a Monday night, play basketball. We usually sit in the Waipahu District Park parking lot. Everybody just pull up their own chair, bucket, sit on them, talk story. But it's funny because that night was raining, so we went Jack in the Box Waipahu.
Took over the whole Jack in the Box dining room, man.
Yep, took all their buttermilk.
No, that's hilarious, man. But yeah, man, I just wanted to, you know, I'm glad that I have an opportunity to tell you direct, like how appreciative and thankful I am for that moment. Oh. But, you know, talking about how you extended that invite to me, what was your start? What was your beginning? You know, for having somebody maybe invite you or getting you started with, the church.
I grew up in Samoan Efakasao Church in Mililani, where my uncle was the pastor. My grandma was the choir director. Yeah. My grandpa was like the pastor right under him. but never really understood what a relationship with God meant. It was like we was doing that because if not, we're gonna get lickings.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And you know, every white Sunday we pulling up, we had to memorize our kaloko. If not, you get Papa in the back with the slipper, like staring into your soul.
Give you that look.
You know what I mean? Giving you that look, and that's the kind of environment I grew up in. So I didn't really truly understand what it meant to have a relationship with Christ. And so growing up, like, knew who Jesus was, knew who God was, but I was still doing my thing, just ka'aing, like we call it in the Samoan culture, just fooling around, doing stupid stuff. And so when I got to that age where I moved home from college back in 2016, I was just doing all kinds of stupid stuff with some of my best friends. And three of my specific best friends that I was just rolling around town, we used to call it painting the town. Like, hey, grab your paint brushes, boys. It's time for paint the town. Like me, my boy Taz, Gabe, Freddie, and we was doing that for years. And like finally there's this one, I don't know what was going on in their heads. I believe my boy Gabe and Taz started it, but they had the thought that like it's time to grow up. It's time to change. And so we're supposed to have a meeting one Monday morning at Starbucks at 7 a.m. And I'm like, you guys tripping. I'm still drinking at like 5 on that morning. So I never go, but I'm in the group chat and they're over here sending scripture, and I was like, bro, you guys tripping, dog? Like, who was just partying last weekend? You guys over here talking about King David? Like, where's my boy? I'm ready to get it rocking. And they just made the shift. Like, hey, we've been doing this for a minute now. We're like 25, 26 years old. It's time to grow up. I wasn't ready to grow up.
Yeah.
And this went on for a few months where like I started to feel lonely because I wasn't ready to meet with them on Mondays.
Yeah.
And they started to accumulate different guys coming in that really wanted a sense of community around men who wanted God, who wanted to change, who wanted to shift, who wanted to grow up. And I knew that's what they were doing, and I wasn't ready for that. Yeah. I still wanted to I still wanted to make money illegally because it's the easy thing to do, and that's all I knew. So I knew that if I joined this community, it would force me to grow. It forced me to let go of the things that I didn't want to let go of. So I didn't hang out with them. Then you fast forward to a time where my man DeAndre Brackensick was in town and he was playing a Blue Note. And so I texted Freddie. I was like, ooh, it's Monday. DeAndre's playing tonight. Let's go watch him because I'm a huge DeAndre Brackensick fan. And he was like, yeah. We only got men's group from 6 to 8. I was like, okay, I'll get 9 o'clock tickets. Boom, drop $90 right there for me and Moso. I texted him. He's like, yeah, pick me up from Gabe's house where we're done at 8. I said, cool. I get there around 8:15. I text him, ooh, so I stay outside. He's like, no, just come inside. Just come say what's up to the boys. I was like, okay, cool. Ain't nothing going on. This freaking guy lied to me. I walk inside. They're not even done. They're still in circle, like hands open, worshiping. And I'm like, oh, you frick. Like, I was not trying to get all Jesus out tonight, dog. Like,
especially before a concert.
Especially before a concert, you know what I mean? And like I was saying, like I had alcohol in the car. I had all this kind of stuff ready and planned. Like, I'm like, oh, we're going to hit up these honeys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go meet up with them after the concert, see what's up, you know? Yeah. And like, I sit down. And that was the greatest lie that a friend could have told me because that is when the shift happened for me.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I didn't mean to. Like, obviously they lied, but it was a good lie because it really got me to sit in the circle. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to indulge. I'm just going to embrace the moment. And I missed my boys because I just went like a couple months of not hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And now I'm here in this circle and I'm seeing the growth and how much God can do in such a quick amount of time, a short amount of time, how much change and transformation took place. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's time for me to let go.
How much pressure, like you said, right? Hokey pokey church, right?
Yep.
And just, like you said, man, you're at a stage in your life where you didn't want to give up, the partying, the going out. It was fun.
Yeah.
Right? When you're younger, it's fun. That's the thrill, right?
Yeah.
That's where, you're around other people the same age and you don't really have a care in the world. So as you start this journey, what was the pressure like? Did you feel like you had this pressure of like having to be perfect? Because I think a lot of people think like, man, once I start this journey, I got to be perfect.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that early on when you started this?
I think I didn't have too much of like the mindset that I needed to be perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know how to word this. I do think though that I wore a mask for a while. So maybe I did.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe I did feel the pressure because if I gotta lie, if I gotta wear a mask, then that means I was feeling the pressure. So yeah, I guess there was that pressure, especially just being around my boys and like I knew like I said, I was playing hokey pokey.
Yeah.
Even when I was in a group with them, I was still playing hokey pokey for like the remainder of the year.
Yeah.
And there's times where I'm coming around them and I wasn't being truthful with them.
Yeah.
And they would ask me to like speak and lead Bible study.
Yeah.
And bro, to be honest, I'm over here speaking and leading, yet the whole weekend I was out partying. Matter of fact, I slept with some girls.
Yeah.
But I'm over here talking about being celibate. So I was being a liar, and I was being a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And I felt that pressure, and a lot of it was just built upon lies.
Yeah.
And instead of being truthfully transformed, I was so afraid to completely change and like be real with my boys.
Yeah, for sure.
That the pressure really, like, I succumbed to it basically.
No, like that takes a lot of growth and maturity to share what you just shared. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, I mean, especially on a platform like this where people are going to hear it, you know, like you're like, oh, maybe people hold you in this light or in this look, and then they hear something like that and be like, oh shoot, he's not the guy I thought. But I think it's important to share those kind of things, is because I think that's what turns a lot of people off to the church, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier. Church is not just church; it's the relationship.
Yes.
And I think people are, you know, like they have this sense where I gotta be perfect, and instead of being perfect, it's really like, man, how can I be a little bit better?
Yeah.
You know, how can I grow? And also too is like, for people that are established in the church, like they have, you know, and this is just a personal thing. Like I'm not, you know, like I don't want to speak like I'm speaking on behalf of the church, but I think what helped me was this is an environment where I can become better, where people can accept me for who I am, where I am at this point right now. And it's to encourage us to get better, you know, because that's what life is all about. It's self-development. It's growing, it's maturing, it's elevating, right? So it's so good to hear, you know, you touch upon that. You know, I know we got, you know, we kind of fast forwarded a little bit, but how was your upbringing? You know, what was like, you know, explain or tell people, you know, where you're from and that type of thing.
So I grew up in Kipapa, Mililani, which, you know, every city got their hood, and Kipapa and Waipio Valley is like the hood of Mililani, but it's nowhere near, you know, as bad.
It's funny because I always hear you say Kipapa. Always repping Kipapa.
Yeah, I wear it on my sleeve where I come from, because that's exactly like just playing ball at the park. You know, you see those funny videos like, oh, I'm going around doing hood rat stuff with my friends, and that's what I was doing. We were stealing high chews from Foodland, like doing all the kind of stupid stuff. Bro, I had a picture of me on Fast Up because I did on Beer Run when I was in 7th grade. Like, just all kind of hood rat stuff, and that's where I come from, and I wear it on my sleeve just to represent all my brothers that I grew up with doing all kinds of stupid stuff. But I grew up. I got 12 siblings.
Oh wow!
7 sisters and 5 brothers, all half siblings though. So I grew up with 6 of them on my mom's side. The rest was always with my dad. I didn't really have a relationship with my real father. He lived in the mainland, Samoa, Guam for the longest time, but I never really was close with him. But now I am. Now I have a great relationship with my father and a great relationship with my siblings. But I grew up with my mom's side of my family, my Samoan Tokelauan side. Yuriko is my papa's last name. But man, so much to unpack, and to try and like kind of close it in on one. When we had a pretty normal life growing up until I was about 9 years old. Like we had my stepdad that my mom married, who gave me my siblings, my dad, I call him dad too, his name is Ben. Great dad. He had 2 jobs, my mom had 2 jobs, so they're just hardworking people who were raising us. And then I remember when I was 8 years old, I started to kind of notice like a shift in our family dynamic. Like my dad was home more often, so then I kind of put things together. Okay, he lost one of his jobs, and then started to notice he became super abusive to me specifically. But he used to beat the brakes off of me, like to where there's marks on my body, and like there's a couple of times where I couldn't even walk.
Dang,
that's how bad he beat the brakes off of me. And I was so afraid to tell anybody, because I in my eyes, I never thought anyone would come save me. I'm thinking if he finds out I said something, I'm gonna get it 10 times worse. You know what I'm saying?
So true.
So even then there was a shift in my mom where she started to beat me pretty bad, and then then I started to notice like furniture from our house going missing. Like we no more TV, no more. We went from like this. Remember we were like celebrating because we had like one flat screen, and then like a couple months later the flat screen was gone, and then like I started to notice every night random people coming over and they playing cards, rolling dice, and then, you know, stuff that we grew up around. So I thought it was pretty normal until like there's a couple times where it's like 3 a.m, 4 a.m. I'm coming in the living room to drink water, and like I see like pipes and smoke. And I'm like, I'm so young, like I'm just like not really accustomed to that. And I'm just thinking it's whatever.
Yeah.
And then like my mom was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Get in the room. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
go in the room. Like, and seeing my mom like that, I was tripping because she's my superwoman, bro. And then like a couple nights later, I'm doing the same thing coming up, but this time like they're doing something even more, like just doing, they're smoking ice.
Yeah.
Smoking meth. And
Nah, man.
I remember one time.
Let it out, Oos, man. I appreciate this. We all do.
I never shared this before on camera. Anyway, I remember I was going to the fridge, and honestly, it was partly trying to get water, but also being fakakala.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what's going on, just being super niele. I come out, and then one of my mom's younger friends, she was like trying to block me from seeing what's going on. And I go in the kitchen, and there's like ashes on the stuff. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then mind you, I got 4 younger siblings in the room. It was a 2-bedroom. And my baby brother was in the room, and like I go in the room, and I'm just kind of tripping. I'm 8, maybe 9 years old. And then like time goes by. I started to become more and more rebellious because I was so uncomfortable in my own home. And it went like when I say we had a normal life, like my mom served on the worship team, dog.
Yeah.
At Hope Chapel Mililani, like, and the best female singer I ever knew. Like when you stay at your family parties, everyone will give her the mic for sing karaoke. So it's like a normal family. And then to see all of this happen in a short amount of time, I was so confused, bro. I was like, what? Excuse my language. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I started to like go out and like, bro, my first beer, 9 years old, 10 years old. First time I hit weed, 10 years old. I got these tattoos when I was 10, 11 years old because I'm just hanging around with all kind of people.
It's the
like,
environment that
so
you're
I'm
in.
so lost.
Yeah.
I'm confused. So it's like I have no identity. I'm over here trying to find out who I am by hanging around with all kind of people. Mind you, my home life is so terrible. I don't even know what's going on. And then I fast forward to, I believe I was in 6th grade. And I came home and like my dad was gone, my stepdad. And I'm like, we're kind of just tripping. Like my mom wasn't saying nothing. Plus my mom's gone. Like she's like almost gone. Bro, there's jealousies missing from our windows. And like, it's like boarded up.
Yeah.
Like you see in those movies, it was real for me. And I can still remember it like vividly. And it's boarded up. My mom's like just pissed off at the world every single day. And then we find out that my dad got locked up. He sold to an undercover, and he went in. And then my siblings would go and see him. I never went to see him when he was locked up because again, I was so rebellious at the time. I'm like in and out of the house, sleeping on my friends' couches, running away. I'm in middle school. I'm not even coming home. I'm going sleeping on my friend's couch because I never even wanted to go to my own home. Then I remember there was like a stretch of like 4 to 5 days. I never go home, and I finally go home. And the day I go home, I see my mom in cuffs, screaming her head off, and CPS coming to take my siblings. Big red notice on the door. It was getting evicted. And the freaking guy came, grabbed my arm, and I freaking false him. 11 years old, like just lost. I don't even know, 10, 11. I don't even know what's going on, but I just see my siblings getting taken. My mom getting put in the back of a cop car, and I was gone. I ran away. Went back to my friend's house, and I just stayed on his couch. And then like just, my friend's parents never really know what was going on. And so there started to be like the feeling of being unwanted. Because, you know, you're
an outsider.
You're an outsider, and you're like, your friend not even really explain. I never even tell my friend why I'm sleeping over. It's almost like I'm just overstaying my welcome. And then that's when houselessness started to kind of take place, and I slept in the dugout at Kipapa Park. And then I would see my friends. They're like, oh, what are you doing? And I would just act like, oh no, I'm good. Like I just can't wake up early in the morning. I just sat in the dugout, but really they don't know. I just slept there. The night before, I never go to school. I slept in the recycling bin right outside of Kipapa Elementary. And that's when I finally decided to go home, which there was none. But my grandparents, they lived on the other side. And I would go home to my grandparents' house, and they was wondering where I was. But at the same time, they're like grandparents, so they don't question too much. They just was like, come.
Bring you in,
bring me in. And my grandparents pretty much raised me from that point on. They even, my mom's oldest sister, she was living in Alaska at the time. she moved from Alaska just to help my grandparents with the process of adopting my siblings and I, and going through the whole foster care system and just seeing what kind of benefits my grandparents could get some help with from the state and the government, going through family court. I remember my social worker, I forgot her name, but she's someone I always think about because she really fought for me and my siblings for our grandparents to get full custody of us. My mom got out of jail and she was homeless in Waihewa all the way through middle school, high school. And I used to go Waihewa, catch the 52 Circle Island, get off right at the green store, go under the bridge and take my mom food. I would sit down with her, talk story, eat, and like she would just love me as her son again. But she was super shamed for what happened. But for me, I didn't really care about nothing. I was like, no, I just came. Like, I didn't even care. I was too young to think about trauma. I was too young to think about how screwed up everything was. All I knew is my mom needed to eat.
Touching. Sorry to cut you off on that. But touching on that trauma, right? I mean, being 9, 10 years old, and as a kid, home is the most safest, most comfortable place you can be. Yep. If anything happens in this world, I'm going home because I know I'm gonna be safe. What was that like? Like, I mean, like you said, like it wasn't a safe place for you. It wasn't a comfortable place for you. So how was that? Like, how much did that affect you as a person? You know, as a young kid, you know, not having that safe place.
It really just, like I was saying, I think the top two things was just being lost and then just having such a big sense of confusion, like not understanding who I was, and then like playing sports as a kid. Like I'm going to my games and then everyone's parents is there and I never have. I was really it caused me to have resentment towards my friends.
Oh yeah. Like
comparison, like, and I used to, and it was that kind of like a poverty mindset, maybe, I don't know what to call it, but I would always be like, oh, you lucky you have a mom. You lucky you have a dad. Or like I would see kids with cell phones and I'm like, oh, you guys get cell phone. Oh wow. Like, mind you, a lot of the kids, you know, they get ride to football practice. I was catching bus in my football pads from Kipapa all the way to, not all the way, but Waipio Gentry, Corp. I'd get off the bus stop in my cleats, jog to practice. And like, bro, there was one time I had one head coach that didn't give a, and not coming from a place of arrogance, I was the best player on the team, but he didn't care.
Yeah.
I would come late, but he didn't know what was going on at home. And so he was like, oh, you think you can just come late anytime, run laps.
Yeah.
And like, as a kid, I'm so like, now I hate him because I never did tell him, but he's over here treating me like crap. But he doesn't know that I just had to catch the bus.
He don't know what's going on.
He don't know what's going on at home. He don't know all these kids, they got parents that they can bring them to practice. And then like, there's times where I was so embarrassed, bro, because, you know, kids sports, sometimes the parents, they take turns bringing snacks and meals. Yeah. And then there was one time where I didn't know that it was my parents' turn. And we never bring no snacks. And everybody looking at me. I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed that not only we never have like oranges at halftime, but after the game, like one of the parents, she picked up on what was going on. She like sprinted to Costco and grabbed pizzas, covering my parents that weren't even there. My dad's locked up. My mom's homeless. They don't even know, bro. They have no idea. But my Auntie Elsie, her son's still some of my closest friends to this day. She went and like grabbed Costco pizzas and came and was like, oh, she just made up some kind of lie for my mom. And then after that, I kind of told her a little bit. And she would take me home after practice every day instead of me
having to catch the bus.
Because then what would happen is sometimes the parents would ask me, how come you walk in across the street? And I would lie. I was like, oh, my mom gonna pick me up over here. And so I would sit down in the Jack in the Box YPO parking lot on the curb, and then they would come, you need a ride, boy? I was like, no, my mom picking me up.
Yeah.
And when I see all the cars leave, I'll walk to the bus stop, I'll catch the bus. And there's one uncle that drove the bus that I like created a relationship with, and he kind of, without me telling him anything, he knew that there's something going on. So like, he never made me pay. And I wish I knew his name.
Yeah, man. You know what? I knew coming into this was put on last minute, and you know, I knew that this was gonna be a powerful thing. this is gonna be vulnerable, but man, like, I'm so glad that we're at a point where, a lot of people, well, one, they don't think that men can be, vulnerable. They can express themselves, and everything you're sharing is the whole purpose behind the village.
Yeah.
Is because people judge a book by its cover, not knowing the context of anything that's going on. And for everything that was going on in your life, and to see the people that stepped up to support you, man, that's really what it's about, But I just can't even imagine, like, being at that age, being that home is not a safe place. You go to practice, and for a kid, like, sports is like the second best thing other than recess. You know what I mean? Like, that's a place where you want to go, where you're around your friends. You're doing the thing that you love, and that's not a safe place either. So, that's such a crazy thing, to think of, like, just having two places where, as a kid, you feel at most at home, at most safe, and it's not, So as these people are coming to, your auntie, the bus driver, all these people are coming together. When did you think that, or where did you start seeing the shift of, like, man, I'm going through all this stuff, but where did you see a shift as a youth, start to change, start to get a little bit better? Were the people that came that were influential in your life? There's things that you, maybe a group, maybe a boys and girls club that you kind of jumped along. Yeah. Was it music, that came into place where it started to kind of just be your safe place, be your place of comfort?
If I could be honest, man, there was really no time like that in my youth. But I will say that my grandparents created a safe haven in their home. Super old school fa Samoa, but like they weren't so, like, how can I say it? Like, they weren't super hard on me. But they just loved on us. And, like, I think from a young boy's perspective, and I talked about this recently, like, I was preaching on a Tuesday night recently, and I shared with the young adults at Inspire, and I told them, like, from an unsaved perspective, I could say I grew up with nothing. But from a saved perspective, and the Lord has definitely blessed me with the attitude of gratitude, I grew up with everything. I grew up with a household, clothes on my back, food on the table, whether it was saimingi all the time or Vienna sausage or Salisbury steak. You know what I mean? Like, I see it from an attitude of gratitude. I had everything. And one of the greatest examples I grew up seeing is my grandparents, no matter what we didn't have, they were prayer warriors. It was like,
come on.
That's all I seen. Sometimes, like, I would walk in the house and I'm loud, and then, like, I open the door, see my papa praying, and I'm like, I better shut up. And, like, I'll go in the room, do my thing, get ready, shower, come outside. He's still praying. You don't know, my papa gonna pray for 10 minutes, 10 hours. You know what I mean? And then my grandma would do the same thing. My grandma would sit on that couch, pray, start singing Tokelauan hymns, Samoan hymns. And even though I didn't have a relationship with Jesus at the time, because of that example that was set, I would always pray when I wake up, always pray before I eat, always pray before I go to sleep. Even though I didn't really have a relationship with God, I was having conversations. I was like, hey, God, I don't know, amen. But it's just because I saw that. So I didn't have too many times in my childhood where it all came together and I felt safe. But I think from a perspective now as an adult, I can see that that's the kind of culture that my grandparents created, was a prayerful culture. And that is something that I carry with me and take so much pride in to this day. We might not have all the resources around us, but we have the most powerful thing, and that's prayer.
I see your involvement within the church. I see your involvement with the youth, especially, in youth ministry, right? Or in high school, I don't know exactly the right term for it. But do you think everything that you went through is a driving force on why you're so committed, why you're so indebted to these kids? Yeah.
So the ministry that my wife and I specifically oversee is the young adults ministry.
Okay.
And it's between 18 and 30-ish. Because we don't want to turn away anybody. But yeah, like I was telling you earlier, I can't really think of a time where I felt the safest or like a community came together around me when I was a kid. But I do know as a young adult is the time where that shift really took place. Like I was saying, like my boys lying to me, bringing me into this Bible study. Bible study grew. I went to this church, Inspire, that my best friend Becca invited me to. Me being in other circles of guys who seemed like they had it all together their whole life, not realizing that they have a lot to relate to me about, and not realizing like sometimes it's not about being fully relatable. Sometimes it's just about having community and them loving you where you're at despite your differences. And so with that, growing in my faith and sitting under leadership of just devout leaders, husbands, and fathers has caused me to really take a step back and reflect, okay, what do I have to bring to the table to God's people? And when we were given the opportunity to lead this ministry last April, the first thing that came to my mind was the level of commitment and the amount of responsibility that comes with. I really did not want it. If I'm being honest, I did not want it. But then God spoke to me, and there's a greater passion that I always had that kind of redeveloped and resurfaced. And that was a passion for young men. Because if I can share with them the importance of embracing your identity that Christ has given you and not what the world is trying to tell you to live, the sooner you can get that, the sooner we can grow as young men and as leaders.
So true.
And that's why I was like, no, you know what? Let's do this. Me and my wife will do this. And like, my passion for young men has just grown tremendously in the last year, and like leading them and just seeing parts of me inside of every single one, no matter what walk of life they come from. There's always like different parts of me, whether I was lost or this guy is girl crazy, or this guy loves to party, or this guy is a gangster. You know what I mean? Yep. And it's like now I see all these little different parts of me in them, and I know that God can use me to be relatable, to get through to them and get and wake up the real identity within them that God has put in them, not what the world is trying to tell them.
Come on. You know, I think Ed Milet said this. It's the things that were meant to break you or discredit you actually qualifies you to be able to do what you're able to do, because you can be relatable, right? Because if I had a perfect life, if everything was going good, I can't relate to somebody that went through everything that you went through.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard because if I don't have that relationship, if I don't have anything relatable, it's not a comfortable thing. It's not organic for me to open up and be like, man, you know, this is going on with my life and, you know, I need help, right? Touching upon this ministry that you and your wife now, you know, are leading, how does the music scene, you know, how do you balance that, right? Because that's another aspect, right? Like you're in industry where you're at concerts, you're in the clubs playing, and you know the next day or during the week you're meeting with this youth. You know, how do you balance that, or you know, how does that all come to play? You know, in your lifestyle.
It's definitely. Somebody asked me this question recently too, and I guess I never really did take a step back to really evaluate how difficult it is to have balance, right? Or like, bro, you're in front of all these people. How does your head not get super big? Yeah. And then you come into a ministry where it's not about you, right? So one thing I had to realize is Johnny Sweet and Elijah got to be the same guy. No matter what. No matter where I am, they have to be the same guy. Because if I think for one moment that this is a Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana thing, then I've lost the point. Yeah. I think fully recognizing that this gift does not belong to me has been one of the greatest blessings that I was able to recognize.
So good, man. Come on.
Because just like that, God can take it all away from you. Yep. And one thing I realize is I have, like I believe my calling or my purpose is the same as every other Christian and believer in Christ is. Our purpose is to go and make disciples of men. Come on. Right? My calling, which is how God's going to use me to do that, is in the music industry. And I might not be singing outright worship songs, but if you listen to the content of what I write, it's all pointing back to God. It's testimonial, or what I believe one of my callings and my purpose in the music industry is to uplift, motivate, inspire those to reach their God-given potential, which is right in direct alignment with my church's one. But I fully and wholeheartedly believe if it wasn't for the men that I've surrounded myself with and the leadership I've been able to serve under at Inspire, there's no way I would have been able to take Johnny Sweet to where it is today. For sure. Because all the leadership principles I've learned from Inspire. I've learned from my father-in-law, Pastor Mike Kai. He is a devout leader, husband, father, all examples of men I never had growing up. And so I see the way he carries himself. And if you've been able to see him preach, he's the same guy off stage. Come on. He's intense, but it comes from a place of love. Because he sees potential in people. And so I've adopted that into my business and always try to figure out ways, okay, if I'm writing a song, Lord, what can I write that's gonna pull the gold out of somebody that's listening to my songs. You already, if there's a lineup of 5 people, you're gonna get all kind songs about partying and drinking and pakalolo. You can get all that. So how can I differentiate myself to send a different message, a message that's actually gonna be transforming? And that's the kind of stuff that God has put on my heart to write in my music. So it's not like outright worship, but it will always point back to the person who gave me this gift, and not just gave it to me, but entrusted me with this gift. So what am I gonna do with it? And that's how I guess I could say I balance both, because it's like, no matter whether I'm on stage as Johnny Sweet or I'm on stage at church, it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, I'm always trying to glorify God and use the gifts he's entrusted me to uplift, motivate, inspire people to reach their God-given potential.
I want to kind of rewind a little bit. You said that, as you're performing, it's not like you're singing worship songs, but there was a time, I think, at your concert at Bishop Museum where you sang a worship song, right? How was that? Because, I mean, looking at the crowd's reaction, they were all into it like it was a hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How was that for you, and how did that come about?
So my piano player, my music director, his name is Eric Peterson. He's an anointed
Eric P.
worshiper, my boy. And so I got with him and I was like, Oos, if the Spirit leads, we're going to do this. And he said, okay. And I'll have it planned in the back of my head. And sometimes I'll read the crowd. And I don't want to shove my beliefs down anybody's throats. So I'll normally read it. And if it's something that we're going to do, then I just give him that look and he knows to
hit it,
to take us to church.
That's cool.
And that day, if I'm being honest, I felt like no one was feeling it.
Really?
Yes. I was like, I don't think they're ready for this. But God told me different. And not only did I go into a worship song, but before I even went into God Gave Me You, I already made that commitment that that's what we're going to do. So I testified to the crowd, regardless of whether or not they was going to like it. You know what I mean? And there was about 6,000 people there. So I'm like, you know what? If if it hits 10 people, praise God.
Come on.
The angels will be screaming, even if it's just one. So I gave my testimony. We went into God Gave Me You, which is one of my favorite songs that I released, because it talks about like God sending someone to help me, which was my wife. Even though I didn't write it, it resonates with me. And then just going into Goodness of God is a song that I sang at the end. And oh man, when I seen videos of, like, you never know, there could be Christians there, and there could be those who have believed in God before and left the church, but then because this guy is on stage, on being unafraid and stepping out in boldness and doing what else he's been called to do, it might bring them back.
Come on.
And it's crazy because there's this girl in our ministry that came up to me this past Sunday, and she was crying, and she's like, I've been meaning to talk to you and tell you that I've been looking for a church. I came one Tuesday, and then I randomly bought Polyfest tickets, and I seen you up there, and when you did that, that was confirmation that this is where I need to be.
Come on, man. I got chicken skin, man, going on right now.
Even if it's just one person, I don't care.
You changed a life, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
One person, that's a life change.
That's just God using me and me being his vessel. And it's like, man, what if I wasn't obedient that night? What if I was so afraid of being judged and persecuted, which God already promises us in his word, we will be persecuted. What if I wasn't obedient? Then that girl might have either not found community in us or not found community at all. And so that's why obedience is so big to me, no matter where and who is watching. And there's been times where I thought about, there's been times where I actually stopped because I was being persecuted. There's radio guys that was talking about me on air.
Wow.
Because they saw he was hosting a show at My Ties, and I shared my testimony at My Ties. I don't know who was listening, but I was so unafraid. I was kind of like a new Christian. And because I'm like feeling the spirit, like, I don't really care where I am or who hears it. But it discouraged me big time when I heard it on the radio. Because someone was like, bro, did you hear what they were saying about you on the radio? And I was like, no. So they sent it to me, and they was like, Johnny Sweet, great performer, but come on, man, no one wants to hear about Jesus at My Ties. Come on, man, you gotta leave that church stuff at home. So boom, the next morning I was super discouraged, and I seen the guy jogging by Waikele.
Let me join this guy on a jog.
The radio host. I'm grabbing coffee at I'm on worship Sunday morning, grabbing my hot tea. I see him jogging. I roll down the window. I goes, hey. He goes, hey, Johnny. I go, God bless, brother. I drove off. Bro, later that day on air, he shared, and I promise, he goes, you know what, man? Good for that guy. Good for Johnny. Yeah, he needs to just keep doing what he's doing and being who he is. So it's like he shifted, his mind shifted. And even after that, bro, I was still discouraged.
Yeah.
I stopped sharing about God all the time. But then someone once told me, like, just remember who gave you this platform. And so I had to really step back out in boldness. It's like, you know what I mean? It's not always going to be perfect. You're
Yeah,
not always going to be
always.
confident. But thankfully, I have people around me who's not afraid to sharpen me and remind me of who I am.
Talking about sharpening, right? Iron sharpens iron, right?
Uh-huh.
How important is it for you to be surrounded by, like you said, good fathers or good people, business, people that you can, mentor you in the business or just build you as a person? Like, how important is that for you as a priority level, and how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, bro, it's so important. Like, who I am today is the outcome of being surrounded by so many devout leaders, husbands and fathers. And those are like the three things that I'm always saying: leaders, husbands, and fathers. I had none of those things growing up, none. And backtracking, because there was such an absence of that, because I had the fear of rejection, I went through years of being in ministry without seeking wise counsel because of the fear of being rejected by man. So I'm over here, like, don't get me wrong, I'm creating community, I'm around brothers, I'm on the worship team, but I was never consistently meeting with older, wiser men to get correction or seek out advice or seek counsel from because of
The rejection
the
prior.
rejection prior. Like, oh, I was never good enough for my dad. I was never good enough for my stepdad. So I'm never going to be good enough for these great men who know God, who are great leaders, fathers, and husbands. Like, there's no way I could ever be around them. I'm going to get rejected. No. I had that fear for so long. And it wasn't until years into my walk of God that I finally really embraced the importance of it. And honestly, I just had to get over myself. So one of the most powerful things that I needed to do was go and get professional help.
Yeah.
So I started seeing a therapist.
Okay.
I still see him to this day. Now, at the time, I was so screwed up in my head that I was seeing him every week. And now I see him about once a month, but it's still like, it's just, it brought healing. I feel so equipped with like practical and tangible steps on how to defeat anxiety, because the anxiety would come anytime I would come into contact with an older man or an older woman or a motherly, fatherly figure. So anytime I would come into contact with someone like that, I would be so like, I don't want to get too close to them because
You distance yourself.
because I would think that they're gonna leave me, or I think they're gonna abandon me the way my parents did. And if I'm being fully transparent, my in-laws, my father, Pastor Mike Kai, and my mother-in-law, Pastor Lisa Kai, dating Becca was not easy because
I mean, the way you grew up and, like where you was at life, I'm sure, that's a pastor's daughter.
Bruh, I
I'm
know.
sure that, the standards and the requirements was up here.
exactly, bro. And it's like, that's why even more so I put up that wall, and Becca would always be like, go say hi to my mom and dad. I'm like, no, I don't want to say hi to them. And then like, it wasn't, there was a standard, you know what I mean? Which they had every right to set.
Yeah.
Because this is not just their daughter, this is their baby girl. This is their princess. You know what I'm saying? They didn't go just let no scrub come in and scoop him up. And the thing is, the fact of the matter is, I used to always use this against her, like when we would scrap.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you know what? You should just be with pastor's son. Okay? I'm too ghetto for you. I'm too ghetto for your parents. Like, I used to say that all the time when we would scrap. But fact of the matter is, even if I was in pastor's son, they still would have gave him the same level of difficulty.
Yeah.
Even if it was a guy who grew up with a silver platter handed to him, they don't care who you are. They're going to give you a hard time to make sure you're the one that can lead their daughter. And the fact of the matter is, that's a high standard to set.
So how is that, right? You're at a place in your life where, you're rolling with the boys, you guys painting the town. I'm sure at that time, you could get with any other female. What was so special where you was willing, where you was like, you know what, whatever this requirement, whatever this standard is, I'm about that.
Bruh.
Like, what was it for you that made Becca? Well, first off, how did you guys meet? And what was it about her that was like, whatever I have to do, whatever I have to go through, she's worth it?
Yeah. So we met at a mutual friend's wedding, January of 2017. One of my closest big bros, his name is Pono Detweiler. Him and his wife, Alyssa, got married in January. He was on staff at Inspire. Mind you, again, I never even stepped foot into Inspire, never met Pastor Mike, never met Becca. I go to this wedding, And straight up, she's the first girl I set my eyes on. And of course, I'm a thirsty boy. You know what I mean? Like,
Thirsty.
First thing I'm thinking is like, all right, I'm about to holla.
Yeah.
So I'm like looking at her. And then she comes up to me at the dessert table. And usually I'm the one who goes up, right? And she comes up to me. And she wasn't even trying to like hit on me or nothing. Like matter of fact, she tells me to this day, she thought I was so ugly when she first saw me. Mind you, I'm I'm fresh off of working out for NFL teams, Oos. 255, straight muscles, 6-pack.
Chisel out of rock, huh?
And,
You know what I mean?
And I had braids, Oos. I had braids, you know what I mean? I'm over here coming, Mr. Suave LA Loaf, you know what I mean? And so...
Let's go.
But her, to me, but to her, I look like freaking Asuelu, bro. I don't know what it was. No disrespect to the Uso, just kidding.
Asuelu, we got you.
We got you.
I got some funny stories about you guy, man.
And bro, she was not feeling me, but she didn't let it be known yet. So in my mind, I think I got a chance. So she was like, do I know you from somewhere? And I'm like, okay, this girl seems kind of sophisticated. I don't want to throw no cheesy, corny lines. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we do know each other.
Playing it cool,
playing it cool, right? But really deep down inside, I was like, no, but you can know me if you want. You know what I'm saying? But again, I kind of sense that there's a little bit of smarts in this woman. I better take it easy. So I didn't really get to talk to her too much after that. I went on stage, I sang, and I'm like, honestly, when I'm singing, I'm like freaking looking at her the whole time. She ain't even paying attention. You know, you get all kind of chicks just like, because she over here like not even paying me any mind. Boom, she leaves. Fast forward, I find her on Instagram. So I add her. I DM her. Oh my gosh, this is the weakest game you ever gonna see. So I messaged her. I was like, "Oh, so do you remember where you know me from?"
Or should I help you out?
I know. I'm trying to be my boo. I'm trying to be her boo. Sounding like a kaipu. And she was like, no. She's like, I think we have mutual friends. And then I'm like, okay, putting it together. Yeah. So after that,
gotta piece that puzzle, man. You gotta piece that puzzle.
So she knows that we have mutual friends. So now I'm hollering at my mutual friends, hey, who's this girl? And they're all telling me, bro, don't even try. Don't even try. And of course, when you tell me don't try,
I'm gonna try.
I'm gonna try. So mind you, a couple weeks
Don't tell me what I
by.
can't do, man.
Exactly. So she's playing volleyball at Chaminade. And she posts on her Instagram all the time. And I'll go like it, you know, whatever.
Send them the heart.
Exactly. That's it. You know, keep it light, something light. And so she's posting that she likes to get acai at Bogart's. So I'm like, boom. I was like, I don't even like acai bowls, but I'm gonna like acai bowl. I'm gonna do my homework on acai bowls. You know what they got? They got almonds on there, honey, some bananas. Okay, now I'm gonna become an acai bowl connoisseur. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get it. So one day she posts again, and I'm like, oh, you must really love. Bro, this game is so weak, bro. I just cannot believe, bro. So I was like, oh, you really like acai bowls, huh? She's like, yeah, I always get it. It's like my time of peace. Da, da, da. And I go, oh, we should grab acai bowls. And she goes, nah, I'm good. Molded, dog.
Damn, all that research, all that
research
studying,
I did.
you
She
know?
don't even know the amount of.
Dang.
She don't even know the research team I hired to do all that. I didn't do all that, but bro, I felt so shut down. Oh, so shame, bro.
Humbled,
Humbled, bro. And it's like you know, not being arrogant. Nah, it is arrogant, but I could get all kind of girls, but it's like for some reason this one, like I had my eyes set on. In that rejection, the following week, Brian, it gets worse. I go Mai Tais. She messages me on Instagram. She goes, hey, you think you could get me in? And I was like, oh, yo, I'm gonna get her. And she's like,
this is my chance.
And then
I got this.
And so she's like, actually, there's this guy who's gonna meet me there. Could you just come with me? Because she said that he was like
Shots fired. Shots fired.
She was like, this guy's a creeper, but he said he could get me in Mai Tais. And I was like, okay, come. So she comes up. I see the guy coming. She grabs my arm. And I'm like,
I was just, you know, I was working out
did biceps this morning, girl. You lucky, girl. So she's grabbing my arm. And the guy comes. And I'm over here like, hell yeah, fake boyfriend, baby. Let's go. And he goes, hey, what's up? She's like, oh, this is my cousin Elijah. Oh, my gosh, dog.
Dang, Becca, you know how to.
2 L's in a week, Oos. No to the acai bowl. And then I'm your cousin? I'm not even Chinese, girl.
Oh.
I'm not even Asian. We don't even look alike. And you over here.
I couldn't be a classmate. I couldn't be a childhood friend.
I was so salty after that. Bro, we go inside.
I guess she didn't say that's my brother.
Bro, that's even worse, cuz. But straight cousin, not even friend. Cousin zone first. We go inside. She follows me to all our friends. I'm over here like, in my mind, I'm like, get away from me.
Yeah.
freaking reject me twice in one night. So all that happens. We become super close friends. And I know I shared with you earlier about like she changed her life from the party scene. She's getting ready for church at the same time on the phone with me while I'm coming home. We both started dating people, and like we both got our hearts broken same time. So now we're kind of like confiding in each other. And mind you, her parents knew of me already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was coming church.
Oh, okay.
So during all that time, I was coming church. I'm a new Christian. Parents know who I am. They like treated me like her brother. And so like there's even times where my mother-in-law, I love you, Mom, she would comment like, "Thanks for being a big brother to me." And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm her big brother, but deep down inside, if the opportunity ever came, I'm gonna cuff that. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, bro, there's even one time her sister played volleyball.
We brother, this is my sis, but we not blood related,
Sister in Christ, you know what I'm saying? And you know how it works in the Bible.
Come on.
So we're at a fundraiser. My cousin and her sister play volleyball together. So we're at this fundraiser. Mind you, I'm still a baby Christian, so you know
I'm having fun.
I'm flamed up. You know, I got red on. I got a Michelob Ultra in one hand and
doing your thing, man.
You know, got a Jameson in my left, and I'm dancing, and I'm dancing with Pastor Mike. Yeah, and he's just chilling with his water and just dancing, and like because to me, I'm her brother. So I'm cool.
Flamed up, Michelob, Jameson shot.
Bro, I'm over here dancing with Pastor Mike. And then like later on that day, or later on that following week, Becca's like, "Oh, I'm going to Ala Moana." And they're like, "Who you with?" "I'm with Elijah." And they're like, "Oh, good. Because, she's safe.
Stay out however late you want to.
Bruh.
You guys are fine with me. Wherever you guys do, whatever
Like,
you guys go.
Oh, you're with Big Bro. You're with Big Goose.
He got big
Okay,
muscles.
cool.
He can protect you. We're good with it.
The moment, so fast forward later when like I'm on tour and like she tells me she has feelings for me. And then like I remember I was on tour with Maoli, and she told me she had feelings for me. I pressed mute and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm telling all boys, and we're all like chilling because they know that I had feelings for her deep down inside. Yeah. But never in a million years did I ever think she was gonna turn her head my way. So we're like over the guy. So then like 20 seconds go by of us cheering, and I'm like, hey, chill.
Get your composure back.
I press unmute. I was like, "Oh, you know what? I think we should pray about this." I go, "We should pray about it." She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, pray about it." I go, "All right, amen."
It didn't have to be a long prayer.
The prayer was shorter, and Jesus said yes.
Confirmation. Amen.
So right away, it was kind of like seeing each other, and then like, when Pastor Mike and Pastor Lisa find out, oh my God, they was not happy about it.
That's your brother. That's your brother.
What you doing with your brother? He's supposed to be just your bodyguard.
How was that? Going from bodyguard brother to potential boyfriend, now future husband.
Bro, I'm sure that they were like not happy about it at all. You know what I mean?
And I danced with you, Elijah.
I know.
I danced with you.
That was brother dance. That was my daughter's bodyguard dance kind.
Oh, man.
But like I said, like when it comes to being a devout leader, husband, and father, as a father, it is your duty, and you're a girl dad too. Mm-hmm. It's your duty to protect.
Oh, you know that.
It's
and you know my daughter, man.
Bro. I love that girl, dog. But when the time comes, you're going to have to put your foot down.
Come on.
Set the tone. Yeah. And, bro, I might be bigger than Pastor Mike because I was so scared of that guy. Just the level of godly authority he has.
His presence,
His presence is intense, bro. Like, even to this day. Like,
shout out to Pastor Mike Kai, man.
Love you, Dad. So, like, I love him, bro. And it's like, even to this day, like, he already let me marry his daughter, but I still, like, yes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just it's the level of respect and honor I have for that man. Mm-hmm. But he set that example. No matter how hard and difficult it was for me during the dating season of me and Becca, I don't take nothing from him. I don't give him like he made it hard, good. Because you know what? It made a man out of me, bro. Put hair on my chest. It made me grow up. It made me like, okay, like this is big shoes to fill. Like straight up, there's no way my wife or my girl at the time would stoop low to a man that doesn't have potential to be where her dad is. There's no way I'm going to be him right away. Yeah. But he has set a standard in which I fully intend on reaching one day. It's gonna take me some time, but she knows that there's potential there. And if there wasn't, there's no way she would have been with me. No way.
That's a good point that you bring up, because a lot of time when you're challenged, right, especially when you're an adult now, you know, you're not a kid, you're an adult, you're established, right?
Yeah.
And you get challenged, you get checked. A lot of times for men, right, we shut down like, I'm on to the next thing. You know, like, I don't need to go through this.
Yeah.
But like you said, right, it made you grow up.
Yep.
You know, in what ways do you think specifically you grew up when he checked you, you know, when he challenged you, basically. You want to be with my daughter. Not anybody can be with my daughter. But like, is there anything specific that you felt like you could reflect on now where it's like, man, like I really grew up in these ways, you know?
I truly believe humility was the number one thing. I grew up kind of cocky, arrogant, and even at that time, like I was very arrogant. And one thing I always had a hard time with is authority. Grew up, no dad,
like you said,
nobody to correct me.
Your grandparents kind of let you do
let me do whatever I like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting arrested, I'm getting locked up, my whole upbringing. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't really care who you are. I don't care the badge you got on. I don't care if you were head coach. You just want a regular man to me, and you know what I mean. So it's like, now imagine going through that your whole life, and now I'm 24 years old. I just went through 24 years without
without challenges, without authority checking you.
The hell I gotta listen to you for? I don't care who you are, pastor and all.
Yeah.
But there was a shift where he was checking me, and it was kind of like a temperature check with where I was with my walk with God. Because if I hadn't humbled myself before the Lord, and if God didn't humble me in his correction, there's no way I would have been able to receive it. I would have been the same feel poco, stupid kid that was like, I'm getting corrected. And I'm like, cuz, who you talking to?
Yeah.
That's how I would have received it. But God humbled me enough to be able to be on the receiving end of that, knowing and recognizing that it came from a place of love. And he's not correcting me just cuz. He's correcting me because he loves me and cares about me. And even in correction, I'm sure he was like, I don't know if this is the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which he has every right to have those thoughts. But that was one of the biggest indicators of humility that I had, was my ability to sit there and take it. And I was like, because, bro, I got checked by my father-in-law plenty times. Plenty times. But that's because he's not just the father of the woman I'm dating, but he's my spiritual father.
Your mentor.
He's my mentor. He's my spiritual leader. So if I want to grow as a man, I gotta be able to sit there and take it.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of the corrections that never took place in my upbringing. No one was ever able to really sit me down and correct me. I mean, I'm sitting in a jail cell countless times growing up, but no one's correcting me for why I was put in there. Or when I got lickings from my grandpa, he never did sit me down and tell me why I got lickings. Yeah. You know what I mean? So for him to take that time, and it's not just Pastor Mike, but even other pastors within our church, Pastor Brian, Pastor Dominic, Pastor Clint, other men that I got to sit around, Pastor Dan, where I would seek wise counsel from them, and they'll check me. Yeah. They don't care.
Yeah.
They will check me because it comes from a place of love. And we have that relationship where I could sit there like, wow, I was really wrong for what I did. And just the other day I got checked by Pastor Frankel. Like, he straight up came up to me. He goes, bro, why your desk always messy? He goes, you know, that's a reflection of you as a leader, yeah? And I'm like,
oh, dang.
Sheesh. I go, look, in my mind, I'm like, my desk's not even that messy. I go up, the thing was so messy. Just being real. Like, I had to go up there. I was like, okay, let me clean it, because I don't want to be that guy that I represent more than myself. Yeah. I represent my wife. I represent my wife's parents, my pastors. And I got to do a better job of growing up and cleaning up my desk. Like something so simple like that. Something you should know already by 30 years old. Yeah. But I take the correction because I know it comes from a place of love, and it's to sharpen me. And one thing Pastor Mike always says, and I'm sure you've heard him say it all the time, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Exactly. Yeah. And I don't hang around with 5 scrubs. I'm around godly men all day, every day. And so it kind of retracts to the question that you said about how do you balance music industry and the kind. I love all my usos in the music industry, but we got different lifestyles. We might be in the same profession, and I travel with them. I go on the road with a lot of them. I'm doing tours. I'm on the same cards as them, and I love them and I respect them. But because of the life that I'm trying to live, because of the chains I'm trying to break in my family, I gotta retract from that lifestyle, and I gotta be surrounded by other people.
How hard is that though? Because that's such a great point, right? We the people that we surround ourselves with is who we become. It's how we grow, right? Being in the industry that you're in, how are you received when you're living this lifestyle, right? Like you said, those are my friends, but at a certain, at some point, I have to distance myself because we have two totally different lifestyles.
Yeah.
How hard is that? Being in the industry, you're touring with them, you're around them in your free time. How hard is that, man? Because I'm sure like a lot of them probably are like, oh, this guy changed. Like this guy, it's not the guy I used to know.
Yeah.
Like, this guy was cool. Now he's he's too good for it. Like, how is that being received like that?
One thing I do love is that a lot of my friends in the industry, they respect me. And they respect my lifestyle. And also, like, I'm not like a goody two-shoe Christian. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be straight up on the podcast. I still like to have some beers. I still like to have some drinks.
Come on.
I'm just not out here getting drunk. You know what I'm saying? But you got to know that there's a limit. You got to know that after 11 o'clock, nothing really good happens anymore. And also, I'm not single no more.
Yeah.
I'm a married man. I got a wife I got to go home to. And most times, I will bring my wife with me.
Yeah. No.
Because it's like, I still love to have fun. I still love to dance, have a good time. Like, I'm around all my boys. But I do know that there's a limitation I have to put on it of the fun that I have. Because I'm still a representative of my church. I'm still a representative of my in-laws and a representative of myself and the man that I'm trying to be. But make no mistake, I still make mistakes. I still fall short.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that a lot of my friends in the music industry love me and respect me for the changes that I was able to make. Because a lot of them, I was doing all kind of stuff with them before. And then when they started to notice the distance, a lot of them didn't really, at least to my face, tell me like, oh, you think you're too good now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what kind of conversations they're having behind my back. Hopefully none.
Yeah.
But they know me. They know I don't judge nobody. I don't sit here on the tour bus and point fingers and like, hey, you're a sinner. You're going to hell. No, never. I love them. I'm like I said, you got to be the same guy in both.
On and off the stage.
You got to be the same guy. And so I still love on them. Got a day off the next day. Hey, we cracking open some Michelobs. You know what I mean? Talking story, laughing, cracking jokes, and then go sleep. But there's no, I just know when to go home.
Yeah.
I know when there's a limit, and that's like the biggest thing.
But I'm sure that helps them too, is because there's never a straight line in life. It's never perfect, right?
Never.
But I'm sure those times that you crack a beer with somebody, just off experience, there's times that guys go through things, or just people in general go through things, and that's that opening, like, oh man, shoot, I'm going through something right now. You know, like, hey, that couple beers, for them, help them, open up a little bit, relax a little bit, and now being who you are, the person that you've built your foundation on, who you've become, right? Because of the mentor, the people you surround yourself, you become this person who now, like, let me go ask Elijah for some, from advice, some help. I'm sure that has happened.
Oh,
right?
it's happened countless times, bro. Like in a bar setting, in a club setting, man. There's one time where, we're doing it was like a artist showcase. So there's like 10 different artists from upcomers all the way to like the green. They closed out the night, and I'm like somewhere in the middle. And this guy who was opening was so nervous, but he knew that I was a godly man, and he came up to me. And he asked me to pray for him. Now that I wear that with pride. And I bet if I was in the back green room, too good for everybody, because I'm a Christian, I got to separate myself from everybody. There's no way he would have felt comfortable enough to come and ask me for prayer.
Yeah,
never.
Sure. Yeah.
And like even conversations that I have with my other boys whenever they need advice, like, bro, let's sit down. Here, grab a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like you would be surprised how many great conversations you can have, and you're just breaking bread. Yeah. And I'm not legalistic. I'm not the guy like, hey bro, put the beer down.
Yeah.
Let's have a talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, if you're my boy and I have a good relationship with you and you're an alcoholic, now that's different.
Yeah, different. Yeah.
That's different.
I'm gonna challenge you. I'm gonna check yes. Yeah.
But if we're just having a casual beer and we're talking and you're opening up to me,
that's so good that you share on these things, because I think that's one of the biggest things that I've I grew up in the LDS church, in the Mormon setting, and it's so different, very quiet. I mean, I had so many people that I can look back that loved upon me, that helped my family. So I'm always grateful for that. But when I stepped into Inspired, that was culture shock for me. People worshiping, drums going on, hands up, and I'm just like, whoa, like what's going on? But one of the biggest things that I learned is that you take people for where they are and where they're at that moment. And for me, that was such a good thing, is because it's like that. It's about relationship.
Yeah.
It's not about rules and like, because if that's the fact, like everybody would be so shut off.
Yeah.
And I think like, hearing how you're sharing your story, I think a lot of people need to hear that, is because people, as soon as they think of church, like, oh, I can't give this up. It's they start thinking of all the stuff I can't give up.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know what, I just know I need something more in life.
Yeah.
And just giving it a try, you know? But how crazy is it that you're looking back at like all the things that you didn't have that you're missing when you were a youth? Now you're full circle now. Now where you're at in life now, you have it all.
Yeah.
Have it all as in you have that father figure.
Yeah.
You have that family. You have
Oh,
that
I have
community.
it all.
So how crazy is that now? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, how old are you now?
30.
So you're at 30 years old. I mean, going from 9, 10 years old, and you're at 30 years old, how full circle, life has become for you.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is that?
Man, if I could tell you right now, bro, that's why I'm so unafraid to lift up my hands and sing about the goodness of God, no matter where I am. Because, bro, my life is just a testament of that. It's not my works at all. It's not anybody's works. It's really just the grace of God and his goodness, and like seeing that he could take someone like me and use me and bless me. Like, one thing I love sharing is like, and when I say I have it all, no, I do not mean materialistic things. I don't mean I have like a 6-bedroom house with a pool in the back. But what I have is the greatest wife I could ever have. What I have is an amazing church, family, and community that loves me, celebrates me. That form of love, but the most important form of love I needed was correction, was sharpening. I have like, I serve with my brother now, like who I led astray in the beginning, and now because I was able to surrender my life to Christ, he's seeing the benefits of that and is like following me now, and I'm trying to do the same for the rest of my siblings. Like, I hated my dad growing up, my real dad, because I thought he was gonna save me. Now I love my dad. I forgave him, and he don't even know that. This might be the first time he's ever hearing this, but like, I love my dad because he's trying now.
How's that relationship? I don't know, let me cut you off, but how is that relationship with your, like, everything that you went through with your parents and your family, right? How is it now?
It's truthfully, I wish I could tell you it was holding hands singing Kumbaya right now, but it's not.
Yeah.
I love my stepdad because remember he went in.
Yeah.
He did I think about 10 years.
Wow.
Came out, completely changed his life.
Because if I'm not mistaken, I remember, because me being a greeter, right? I remember seeing your family walk in with you, right? I think you brought your siblings as well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was a pretty big thing, right? All of you guys came together to church one time, right?
So my stepdad, he is the one that I absolutely hated because, like, if you really think about it, he's the one who got my mom into drugs. He was selling drugs. He ruined our family, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But after all is said and done, he did his time, came out, changed his life. He's been sober and clean for over 10 years now, because you count the years he's been in prison, and he's been out for about 5 years now. Got his life together. He works full time, drives the bus.
Right on.
He even like
Drives the bus.
Yeah.
And you going back to your story, right? How's that?
That's crazy.
Right?
Yep.
That's crazy.
And so like
man.
he's just such a completely changed man. I don't even ever hold what he did against him. Like, because he loves me, treats me like his own son, and I'm not his son.
Yeah.
I'm his stepson, but he treats me like his son. And like, despite everything that he may have done and caused, like, I forgive him wholeheartedly. And then even my real father, like, I never had a relationship with him growing up. I resented him. Like, even up until this day, like, there are days where like I gotta ask God to scrub my heart, because my dad is trying. My real dad is like, he wants to have a relationship with me now. We never really did have that deep talk, but when that time comes, it'll happen. But what I can say is that I forgave my dad for whatever reason he had to not be a part of my life, especially because now he wants to be a part of my life. Yeah. And now, like, my siblings from my Longafuina side are in my life, and I'm in theirs. And I think my mom is the one I struggle a lot with. Yeah. She's still in the streets. She's not homeless. She lives at home with my grandpa, but she still be doing her game room thing. Yeah. And like, but I love her. And like, I do have to scrub my heart sometimes and like, Mom, why are you doing this? Like, come on, you know better. Yeah. And like, that's something that I'm still dealing with to this day, is like learning how to forgive. Because forgiveness is not like, okay, I forgive you, and then the next day, moving on for the rest of your life, you forgave them. No, you got to keep forgiving.
How important is that for you? Is because you say you got to wipe your heart clean, right?
Yep.
a lot of people will hold such resentment because of the things that they go through. How important was it for you to see, like, I need to forgive people, even though that they did me wrong, they hurt me, they did all this stuff to me, but I need to let it go so that I can move on.
Yeah.
Myself. How important was that for you?
It was so important, bro. I don't even think I could have ever really like gotten to the point where I am in life right now if I never learned how to forgive. Because a lot of times unforgiveness and resentment are the two major things that is hindering you from full growth and promises of God.
Come on, man.
It's a command. It's like something that God ask and commands us or asks. I can't remember, but we have to forgive.
But that's the thing. Like you said earlier, it's not that you forgive and you just move on. It's a constant battle that, hey, I forgive, but I don't forget. But also too is like, I can't, if I'm gonna forgive somebody, I can't keep going back and holding them to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because also too, it hinders your growth. It hinders your walk and moving forward, right? Like that's a constant battle. I think a lot of people don't understand. It's like, it's not a perfect growth because I forgive somebody, but man, like for me to move forward, I gotta let it go. And it's the mental game, because there's a lot of times that I gotta talk to myself, right? Because of like the scenario that happened or the thing that played out. It comes back to me, but I gotta like, nah, I gotta let it go. I'm past that. You know?
At the end of the day, like, God didn't send his son to die on the cross just for you to be forgiven. He did that so that you can forgive too. And he's the greatest example of what forgiveness looks like. Like, if you think about it, like, no matter what someone may have done to you, what we have done to God in our disobedience and our sin is 20 million times worse than what someone can do to us. Therefore, if he can forgive us, and his process of forgiving is much quicker than ours. He forgives you the moment you repent. The moment you ask for forgiveness, he forgives you. There's mercy upon that. There's grace. But for some reason, it's our human flesh. It's our human nature that
we live in a fleshy world.
It takes us a little longer. But you have to make that extra bit of effort in praying. Sometimes, like, before I even fully forgive, I ask God, Lord, humble me. Father, would you humble me and scrub my heart so that I can forgive this person? And even if they don't apologize, you have to learn that level of forgiveness. Otherwise, bro, that weight of unforgiveness and resentment, it's heavy.
It's like a trailer, man, just hitched onto you. You know what I mean?
So many trailers, and you're not walking, you're swimming with the trailer. Like, that's how heavy unforgiveness and resentment is. Like, man, and when you let it go, oh man. So as a creative, my ability to hear from God and have clarity, I believe, has a lot to do with my ability to forgive. Because there's a lot of things that I couldn't think of because a lot of my brain was stuck in things that I was holding against my mom or my dad's, both of them, or other people that did me wrong, coaches, friends that abandoned me. Like, I had to learn how to get over myself and forgive. That's like almost a part of forgiveness that people have a hard time with, is that you got to get over yourself in order to forgive. There's a dying of yourself.
We stand in our own way.
Exactly.
Path, you know
we really do. There's no one else. Like, you pointing fingers at everybody else, but when you take a step back and reflect, it's like, holy cow, it's been me the whole time.
Wow. I resonate with that 100% because going through my divorce, going through court, going through having attorneys go back and forth, situation with our kids, and back then, like, I really resented my ex-wife, you know?
Yeah.
And I look back today and I'm like, we have such a great relationship now, co-parenting. We do a lot of stuff together. Like, we do, you know what I mean?
Because I remember when I met you,
yes,
that was the season of life you were in.
Season of life, like, and I was like, I'll never forgive somebody to put me through all of this. You know what I mean? Like, just everything that I had to go through. But I remember praying, like, humbling myself because I had to get out of my own way. Yeah. For me to really experience the life that I couldn't even see back then. Yeah. To be where I'm at in life now, the opportunity is coming together, just the growth and just like the peace in life, I had to get out of my own way.
Yeah.
Because I kept telling myself, like, no, she put me through this, she put me through that, this and that. But once I removed myself, man, like, the flow in life started to happen again. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's so true. I think we often forget that we have to first forgive ourselves, humble ourselves, and truly forgive others, because we're expecting that other people are going to do something, or we're waiting for them to humble themselves for us. Yeah. But it's not going to happen, man. It'll never happen that way.
It'll never happen.
And I think a lot of people waste a lot of years, a lot of time waiting for that moment, you know?
Yeah. A lot of it has to do with entitlement, too. You feel entitled to an apology in order for you to move on.
Speak on it, my man.
And it's like, I had to realize, like, I'm not gonna wait for someone's apology
Yeah.
for me to forgive them. Ultimately, like, that's not our job. Our job is to forgive regardless. And like, I know that my ability to forgive my parents has also unlocked and almost inspired and drive my siblings to forgive too. Because because I'm not the only one who experienced trauma.
Yeah.
You know, it's my siblings too. They experience abandonment. Like to this day, sometimes we're like, you know, like I said, my mom's still in the streets. So sometimes we still battle with like, what, mom, we're not good enough yet. You know what I mean? Like, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we're not good enough to her. What matters is that we love her where
So good,
she's
man.
at. If we continue to just hit her on the head with discouragement, resentment, with hatred, she will never change. And I would much rather us continue to love on her so she can experience the true love of Christ. That's what's going to transform her. And it took me so long to do that. And even like, bro, I remember the last time, and it's been a while since me and my mom like went scrap. Like, and it was like back when I was still living in Kipapa. This must have been like 2018, 2019, but I could tell she was kind of, I don't know if she was like downing, but she was cleaning. And I know when she's cleaning, it's because she cannot go sleep. So she was cleaning and she's all grouchy. And then like, I'm like, bro, why are you all grouchy for? She's like, yeah. And automatic, I'm not even listening to her. And I go, oh, now you like being with mom.
Wow.
I told her that, bro.
How was that?
Oh, she
How
like,
did she receive that?
oh my God,
I hope you have a football helmet, one shield.
bro. She dropped the broom and started crying, bro. Wow. And I had so much anger in me. I walked out and she was crying, and then I went in my brother's room. I locked the door and I started crying. And I went back in the room and I hugged her and I told her, I started apologizing. At the time I was like a young Christian, you know, but that was no excuse. Like, I had every opportunity to choose love, but I didn't. I chose resentment. I chose unforgiveness instead. But in that moment, I went back in the room and I hugged her and I told her, I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. And I told her I forgive her. I was like, everything. I forgive you, Mom. I'm so sorry. Can you please forgive me for what I said? We had like the first mother and son moment that we've had in over 15 years, bro. Wow. Just sitting on the couch and like I'm hugging her and she's crying in my arms and I'm like freaking crying. And even since that moment, there's still been times where, you know, we would argue back and forth, but my ability to let go and forgive now has definitely gotten much better. And it really has to do with how close I've grown in my relationship with God.
For sure.
Because in that, it's like you feel the love of God. You feel the peace of God. You become more of a man of understanding and knowing, like, with whatever my mom had, she did her best. And she's still learning. She's still growing. And taking a step back and reflecting on what's going to work and what's not going to work. And those types of arguments is not going to work. But it's really choosing love, even in moments of disagreement. Like, even though I might not agree with what my mom did, because there's been a lot of things she's done since then. Like, my mom stole money from me, bro. Like, she stole over $1,600 from me. And even at that time, I was being real harsh. Like, I told her, you got to pay me back. And like, but then there came a time where I was like, I have every opportunity to do the God thing. And there was times where like, my mom actually got a real job, started paying me back, and I never even asked her to pay me back. And so after like she was giving me payments, I told her, I said, Mom, that's enough already. I love you and I forgive you. And it's like always choosing forgiveness is like, oh, it's hard. Yeah. Bro, I'm a aspiring pastor. I'm a director. I preach. I lead worship. I lead a congregation into an encounter with the Holy Spirit. I still have a hard time. I still struggle with forgiveness, but it's something I have to do. It's something you got to be really intentional with and really like sitting back and like, Lord, would you just humble me? You got to humble yourself before God to really forgive. Because there's all the times, oh yeah, I forgive. Lord, help me to forgive this guy. But then there's like no intentionality behind it. But when you really like, oh, God, would you just humble my heart, Lord, and help me to see that the enemy's trying to cause division and disunity right now. But Lord, would you just humble my heart and help me to forgive. Help me to see this from a place of love. Help me to choose love instead of choosing resentment and unforgiveness. Like, help me love on my mom. And that's what's really gonna help her get to that level. And she's gotten so much better like over the years.
Good,
you know what I mean? Like I just in this podcast is convicting me to check on my mom more. You know what I mean? And like I actually have a missed call from her from yesterday. I never call her back. So it's like I gotta take that extra step of intentionality and choosing forgiveness. Because even now, though we are in a much better state of our relationship, there are some times where like because of resentment and past unforgiveness, I'm like, I don't need to call her right away. I'll call her tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then it comes to not calling her at all.
At all, yeah.
And like, yeah, I just feel convicted right now. I gotta call my mom after this.
That's gonna be the number one priority. We
Yeah.
close up, but we could go back and forth all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, this was such a great conversation. I don't even like calling it a podcast. I mean, this was really just a straight up, just sit back conversation. And I didn't even know a lot of this. You know, like I said, a lot of times we just see each other in church. We'll see us at maybe some of your gigs and whatnot. But I think, not just for myself, but I'm sure the audience out there really appreciates everything, that you shared. The vulnerability to see somebody so strong on stage, whether it's at church, out in a gig, everything that you just opened up about was not easy. That takes so much. I really commend you because that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength because so many guys look like, I can't cry. I can't talk about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially when you're so much more ahead or advanced in life, right? You share about things that happen, like it's almost like that shame or that label comes back.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like, I'm sure there's people out there that really needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Really needed to see that. Be like, the guy that I look up to went through a lot.
Yeah.
That maybe was even worse. So wherever I'm at, I can make
Yeah.
progress in life too. You know what I mean? So, man, I really can't commend you. I thank God because, we prayed into this. Like, I just really said, man, like, just lead us.
Yeah.
Because we barely talked about anything about the performance side. We talked about you. And I'm so glad that people really got to see, beyond Johnny Sweet. But Johnny Sweet and Elijah are the same people.
Yeah.
And that's good to know too. Yeah. But, before we wrap this up, we're brand new into 2024. What is some of the big things? What is your outlook? What do you have? Like whether it's your profession, whether it's personally, like your ministry with your wife.
Yeah.
What do you see yourself, or what is some of the things that you want to accomplish in 2024?
Right now, so I just joined a new music team, a label called Salt Lake Records, and I love it because my manager, his name is Josh. Him and I are very driven creatives, and the thing is, he actually learned a lot and grew under leadership of Pastor Mike.
Josh.
Duhilansat.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's managing me now.
Shout out to Josh because a lot of people don't know. When I started the Village, he would meet with me every Wednesday at Starbucks, and he spit so much game and knowledge to me, like how to really get started. I gave him a vision, and you know what? He didn't charge me. He didn't stuff. He said, you know what, Rock? Dad. Full circle for me because Josh met with me every Wednesday, and I had so many questions. And at that time, there was like a charge behind everything. He met with me every Wednesday at Starbucks, and this is full circle for me because he told me, Rock, I'll pour into you because I know one day you're going to pour into other people. This podcast, the brand, sports teams that I got to help with, everything that the Village is, my goal is to go out there and help and serve.
Yeah.
That's the drive behind all of this because I was such a broken man.
Yeah.
But people like that came into my life, and that's all I want to do is to inspire.
Yeah.
Is to give back. So shout out to Josh because that dude met with me every Wednesday, bro. I'll never forget that. I didn't know how to start a clothing brand. I didn't know what I want to do. But I'll never forget the words that he told me. He said, Rock, I'm going to pour into you because one day you're going to pour into others.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, man.
And that's him. He's like, and that's why I believed in, I had walked away. I had stepped down from my other team. And my last manager, great manager. Like, she's done so much for me. But she elevated in her game, and she started managing other big artists. So I was like, okay, maybe it's time for me to set myself apart so I could find another team where they can kind of walk alongside me more. And so it's just crazy how God works. Full circle too is like when I stepped away from that, Josh came up to me and did not know that that I had left my last team. He had no idea. He came up to me and goes, "Bro, I've been thinking about starting a music label." And I was like,
Wow. Because he is a creative.
bro, this guy, his music knowledge is crazy. He graduated from Juilliard. That's one of the top
Performing arts school, right?
performing arts
and I didn't even know
programs
that.
in the world, in the nation. And so he knows a lot, and we connect on that level. But the biggest thing that I was praying for, man of God, and not just the kind man of God that put Proverbs in their Instagram bio and then go sniff cocaine the next day. Not those, not those kind of Christians, like actual Christians who, again, devout leader, husband, and father. He checks that, and someone who can really approach this from a business partner perspective, but a servant. Because at the end of the day, as my manager, you're going to serve me.
Yeah.
And then someone who's equally yoked. Now, when I mentioned all these things, Becca was like, you're praying for a unicorn, yeah? And I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. So as I was I met with Josh over the course of 3 months, trying to figure out, is this the right fit for me? Because I didn't want to just step in. And Becca was like, babe, you remember, you are praying for a unicorn.
That's hilarious.
And he's right here. And I was like, you're right. So that's why I was like, yep, let's do this. And like, bro, we filming our first music video on Monday already. So going into 2024, like I'm just letting you know we're about to smash. Like we about to take over, like in the most humble way. Like, and this is not like my perspective of taking over is never I could run you over. No, because there's plenty to eat for everybody.
Okay, I gotta stop you right there.
Plenty
because
to eat.
I truly believe that there's so much people that are so like closed off to helping other people grow because they feel like because maybe the way they had to learn things, right?
Yeah.
Because the way they had to, and I get it, I understand that. But for me, it's like I truly believe in this world. There's so much room. The pie is so big. Everybody can eat.
So big, bro.
We can all share. We can all the reason why I feel that too is because at the end of the day, you can give everybody all the answers, all the direction, all the guidance. But it still reflects on that person.
Yeah.
Do they want? Are they willing to work hard enough?
Yeah.
Are they willing to sacrifice? Are they willing to go through all the trial and pain? Because at the end of that falls on them.
Yep.
You can't do it for them. Like you said, you can lead a horse to the water. You can't make them drink.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. There's so much to eat for everybody. And the thing is, like, what I truly believe is those that are withholding information and wisdom to share with the younger generation to help them to grow, it's insecurity.
Yeah.
And one, it's like a lack of identity. If your identity is in music, then that's why you think that there's such a scarcity. Because if you really believed in who is giving you this gift, you would know that there's enough for everybody. And that there's doors for you that's not for him. And there's doors for him that's not. So that's why I'm like, bro, the Lord is going to bless me with plenty.
Yes.
But guess what? The plenty is just for me
Yeah.
and my wife. And then the Lord's going to bless you with plenty. And that plenty is going to be just for you.
And it looks different for everybody.
It does. And that's why it's like, for me, I don't know everything. I've only been in this game for 7 years, but I am willing to pour into those who are coming up, which I'm doing already.
Yeah.
I'm actually, one of my goals in 2024 is launch a artist development workshop.
Oh, nice.
For younger artists and teaching them identity, because a lot of them will go to other artists and they'll tell them like, hey, networking, which is all great things, like networking, make sure you're getting in the rooms like this, but the number one thing I want to teach them is foundation. If you don't know who you are, in whatever you believe in, but obviously I'm gonna push Jesus.
Yeah.
If you don't believe who you are in Christ, if you don't believe who has given you that gift, you are gonna run in circles and cycles for the rest of your life, and you're gonna waste time. You're sitting over here, you're coming to me for advice. Hey, should I take this gig, or how do I get better at singing, or what producer should I go see? And I tell them, you sure you're ready for my advice? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, none of that stuff matters if you don't know who you are.
Oh, that's good.
None of that matters if you don't know who you are.
That's good.
If you don't know who you are, you will run in cycles, because then you will keep going to different people for advice.
Yeah.
Learning practical, tangible things, which again is very important. However, the most important thing is internal. Who are you? Why am I singing? Why am I writing? Otherwise, you're gonna be writing songs that you only trying to please the world.
Yeah.
My songs don't please the world very much. So that's why sometimes people are like, you sure you like release that? Yeah, because I'm not being obedient to the world. I'm being obedient to what God told me to write. So if the world don't like it, good.
Yeah.
I promise you, it's gonna hit 10 people.
Yeah.
It might,
And the people you intended it for.
Exactly. Whoever it's gonna hit, God intended for it to hit.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who you are, you're gonna waste time. And so that's why, like in 2024, I want to start these workshops where I can really pour into these young cats, like that. It doesn't, all the other stuff don't matter if you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And then another thing, like I was saying, I'm releasing new music this year.
Nice.
I think one of the things that really held me back in the past was like, I lacked creativity because I was always in my head trying to please everybody else. But now it's like, bro, last year in the last 4 to 6 months, I wrote like 12 songs, 15 songs.
Oh, wow.
And now it's just releasing them. So I released my next song.
Don't you have a drop today or something?
Today is I'm a feature on my boy. He's a saxophone player for J Boog.
Oh, nice.
And he's a big time producer. His name is Sheldon Palmer. So big up Shelly Shells and my sis Mai. We released a song today.
Congrats,
and then again, March next month, I'm releasing a song called Dancing Shoes. And it's basically about like, I just remember my wife, she was like half complaining, half bragging about me that every time we go anywhere, she was talking about a time we was in Hollister. And she's over here shopping, and I hear one kill a song, and like I'm just so lost. I'm over here just like,
get your groove on.
And she's like, "Can you just stay still?" And I'm like, "Boom, song idea." So that's kind of what I wrote Dancing Shoes about. So that comes out March. Today I have a studio session with Imua Garza, one of the top, most talented Christian producers.
Nice.
And we're doing a reggae remix of "Rhythm of the Night" by DeBarge. And so like a lot of these songs are like based off of my personality. I love to sing. I love to dance. But I always still keep it within who I represent. You know what I'm saying? So
stay true to yourself.
Exactly. So this whole year, I'm just releasing music videos, kind of doing things that I should have been doing a long time ago. But I'm excited because now I feel like I'm doing it with the right people. Right on. So I'm super excited for 2024.
Right on. So before we wrap this up, man, I mean, like I said, we could go on for days, and I really enjoyed doing this one today. But I always ask to close it out is if you could look back or give advice on that time where community, the village, a village that surrounded you to really maybe, change the way life was going. Yeah. That really, where you look back is like, man, I needed those people. I needed that safe place to be. If you could just share a moment like that and just share with our audience, the listeners out there, like what was that for you?
If I could encourage anybody to find a community, you have to, I know we said this earlier already, but sometimes people don't want to be a part of the community because of the tough conversation aspect of it all. And when I think about community, I think about people and I think about conversations because it's really the deep, heavy conversations that take place that's really going to cause you to grow. And if I could encourage people, when you are seeking for an opportunity to embrace a new community, a healthy community, don't run away because it's because of the tough conversations. Embrace it. You want a healthy community, you're gonna have a community who's gonna celebrate you, who's gonna encourage you, who you have a big interview coming and they're gonna send you that text message like, bro, I'm praying for you. Yes, you want that type of encouragement. And like your birthday, boom, hey, come on, let me take you to dinner or give you a gift card. You know what I mean? You want that community, but you also want the community where you can be so vulnerable with them and you tell them like, hey, these are my goals, or, oh yeah, me and my wife are trying to do this. And then when you speak out of place to your wife, that they're gonna call you, hey bro, that's not how you talk to your wife. You need to embrace those things. Yeah. Just being real. Don't find a community that's just gonna like just celebrate you. Hey,
good job all the time.
That's great too. Like we joking around, we laughing, cracking jokes. You do want that. But more than anything, you want a community who's gonna sharpen you. Yeah. And I have that. And I'm so blessed to have that. Cause I got bros, Grayson, Darian, Grace, guys, you know what I mean? Like my boy Nick, Larry, and then like my wise counsel. But even in my circle of bros, like though I might lead them, if I ever stepped out of line, I know for a fact that they will check me and they will let me know. And that's what I need. If I don't have that, oh my gosh, I don't know where I would be today. And that's like, if I could encourage anybody, like to have a village, to have a community, do not push away when you get checked. Don't push away. Don't get butt hurt. If you get butt hurt, ice your butt and get back on the horse, because I promise you, if you have a relationship with them, 10 times out of 10, the correction is coming from a place of love. And it's because you want to grow. Like Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, a friend sharpens a friend. Iron won't sharpen against a dull iron. It won't. If you put a dull iron and a sharp iron, the sharp iron is going to get dull. But if it's sharp iron and sharp iron, it will stay sharp. at all times. And the thing is, when you do the process of sharpening, it's under great amounts of heat. So it's not pretty. Like I said, like great communities is not always holding hands singing kumbaya and skipping through the lilies. No, sometimes great community is, hey, bro, I didn't like the way you talked to me like that. Hey, bro, you told me, and even something like this, and this is for me, because I recently actually just was vulnerable with my congregation, told them I have a problem with gluttony. So I told them, like, you know what I mean? Like, if they know that that's something I struggle with, and they see me at 11 p.m. at Zippy's, then I expect to get checked. Hey, bro, you told me you struggle with the sin of gluttony. You told me you're trying to lose weight this year and cleanse your temple, but you're over here having Korean chicken, all rice, extra spam on the side. That's a real community. Yeah. That's the real people that I need in my life. And I hope, if I can encourage anybody listening to this, do not forsake the gathering of brethren who's going to check you.
That's so good, my man.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say, man. This was such a powerful, taping. I love this conversation that we had. I'm sure all the listeners in the audience, tuning in, appreciate it as well. But I wish you nothing but the best for, not just yourself, your family, Love you, my brother, and thank you for making time, man.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.